So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience and welcome to our next webinar in our Getting Started with Horses in Maryland series as we celebrate Maryland Horse Month this October. Again, we are proud to partner with the Equerry and the Maryland Horse Council to bring this series to you. And today's topic is going to be about what to wear and bring when riding horses. We're very happy to have Kim Chick on with us right now to kick off our presentation, and we will be getting some good information if you are getting started with horses and maybe you're starting that first time riding lesson or have someone in your family who's looking to ride. It's always hard to know exactly what you need to do, what you need to bring with you, what you need to wear to start those riding lessons. And thankfully, we have presenters that are very familiar with having people come into their places of business with those exact issues. So I'm gonna start things off here with Kim. And thank you, Kim, so much. Kim runs Fair Hill Saddlery in Elkton, Maryland. And tell us a little bit about what we should be looking for. What are we gonna need?
Well, thanks so much for having me. I have a great set of examples for you and for our viewers to see what exactly they should bring to a riding lesson, especially for the beginner rider, whether it's a child or adult. The big thing to know is that right now with the COVID pandemic, a lot has changed in how riding facilities have asked of their new students and new people to bring additional items that wouldn't be regularly asked for. I run a lesson program as well, and I have included these things into my list of what I expect students to bring to a lesson, just to help minimize the risk of sharing the germs that we don't want to share. So I think the first thing we should talk about are the top two items that I think any person who's beginning a riding program should have, and that is a certified helmet and proper footwear. Those two items are key to riding. Obviously, we want to protect anybody's head from injury if there's a fall from the horse. And we suggest that every rider have their own personal helmet and not share helmets with other riders. And the reason is that if a helmet is dropped or there's a fall, it compromises the safety and integrity of the helmet, and you don't know what has happened to that helmet prior to your use, so you don't know if you're putting a helmet on that is considered safe. So I have a couple examples. I'm going to grab them, and I'll show you what I have, and we'll talk about the different features of each. So for the first-time rider, there's a helmet that looks like this, and we call this a schooling helmet or a schooler, and it comes in a variety of colors and shapes and brands. It's a very basic helmet. It's on the low end of the cost spectrum. I believe this helmet is in the $50 range. It's made by Ovation, and it's the #1 helmet that we sell for first-time riders. I feel that it is a great fit for a majority of heads. It has a lot of nice features such as a removable helmet liner, which parents really like because they can just throw it in the wash and they don't have to worry about bacteria building up or smells or any of the funkiness that happens with athletes and sweating. It has a dial in the back, which a lot of helmets now are offering a dial fit. And this allows helmets to almost be custom fitted to a rider's head without the cost of a custom helmet. So this is a toddler or small child size helmet, and we love this one. It's super lightweight, ventilated, so it's cooler in the summer and comfortable for your entire ride. Now, for the Western riders, sometimes there's a stigma about wearing helmets with the Western folks, but Troxel puts out this really awesome helmet that has more of a Western vibe to it. This is leather covered with some corduroy material. This has a different type of fit device in the back, which is adjustable as well. And this just snugs the helmet to fit the head appropriately. This also has a removable liner, so it can be washed or replaced as needed. This helmet is $119.99. And then moving up, eventually a lot of people like to think about horse showing. So this is the #1 helmet brand on the show circuit. It's called a Charles Owen. And this is their basic rider helmet. And this is $188. Now this helmet is more of a custom fit. We measure heads and fit these without a dial. So each helmet is pretty much fit directly to that personal rider as opposed to being the dial to adjust it and snug it. And then the last helmet I brought has the newest technology in the horse world. This is called a trauma void, and it has new technology inside. I'm going to remove the liner so you can see it. See that yellow piece that's on the inside? This is called Mips. So what this does is helps deflect force if you have an impact away from directly going onto your skull and causing concussion. So the idea behind this is that the little yellow liner in here actually moves within the helmet, and it's minor. It's a very minor movement, but it's enough that the force is deflected away from the head to help reduce the impact and reduce the chance and severity of concussion. So this is the Lynx model, and it does have a dial fit in the back. So it comes in a small, medium, large, and you can use the dial fit to adjust the fit of the helmet. And then another nice feature is that it comes with 2 liners in the box. So if you have more of an oval head, you use 1 liner, and then if you have more of a round head, you use the other liner that's included, and that'll make sure that the fit is as perfect as you can get. And what we suggest to all of our customers with a helmet is that you come in to any store that you're local to and have them fit you for the helmet. Unlike a bike helmet, which you just put on your head and adjust the chin strap, riding helmets have to fit correctly to give you the most protection possible. So helmets are the #1 thing that we suggest for new riders to get. I know it's an investment, but it's worth protecting the brain in case of impact. All right, so here's that Lynx again. So let me give you some footwear options. And so footwear is key because the tread. So we need a light tread on the sole of the boot, which will make a nice contact with the stirrup, which is what your foot goes into. If you have something that's really smooth or too sticky like a gym shoe or a sneaker, your foot could get stuck in the stirrup or just fall out of the stirrup, and you won't have a secure ride, okay? So this is called a Paddock Boot, and it has this great sole. And the other feature is this heel. So we want about a 1-inch heel in your boot, and that is just another safety reason so your foot does not slide through and out the front of your stirrup while you're riding. So that heel helps keep your foot in the stirrup in the proper position. So this Paddock Boot is a zipper, which is probably our best-selling type of Paddock boot is a zipper boot, but it also comes in laces. So if you have a little bit of a wider ankle or you have sensitive ankles, you can get the lace up and you can make them as loose or as tight as you want. So this is our ladies option. They're $74.99. We have a men's option. This is from Ariat, one of the most well-known horse brands on the market right now, and this is $149.99. Again, it has a really nice tread and the correct size heel for safety. And then if you're not an English rider but a Western rider, I pulled this boot, which is a great all-terrain boot. So this is really good for working or riding. It has the appropriate sole and heel for the rider. It's a lace up, and they come all different ways. So this one is waterproof and insulated, which is great for the incoming cold weather, but you can get one that's not insulated, not waterproof. You can kind of get whatever features you want in a riding shoe, and they come in all widths and sizes, colors, but brown and black are the basic colors that you would get for a first-time rider.
If you ride for several years and you don't fall off, luckily, and you don't hit the helmet to the ground, how often do you need to replace a helmet? Like, what's its lifetime?
Sure. So the lifetime of a helmet, if you are a casual rider, and we consider a casual rider someone that's riding 1 to 2 times a week, we expect or ask that you replace your helmet every 4 to 5 years. Just like a car seat, the interior structure of the helmet does break down, and you can't see that because of the helmet, the exterior shell of the helmet. But the interior components do break down, which in time will cause the helmet to not do the job that it's meant to do, and it will, all the certifications that all these helmets have will not be as effective or in place with that deterioration of the internal components of the helmet. Now, if you become really active with riding and you're riding 4 to 5 times a week, we suggest that a helmet is replaced every 2 to 3 years. If you start seeing really a lot of wear and tear, you feel that the lining has compressed, the fit of your helmet has changed, a lot of times, especially on the schooling helmets like this one, the brim will break off. Now this is designed to pop up and down, but if the brim comes off, then the functionality of the brim is no longer there, which what the job of this is not to just look pretty, but it is there to break if you have a fall, to protect your face from hitting the ground or from having a snapback, kind of like a whiplash action from a fall. So if you break the brim of the helmet, we do consider the helmet compromised and it should be replaced. Now, the nice thing about most helmet companies is that they're offering replacement programs for the helmets. So you should talk to your retailer about that program and how to register for it. For example, Charles Owen, if you register your helmet when you purchase it, there's a card that will come along with all of the helmets. You can fill that out and mail it in or go online. They will replace your helmet for you or help you replace the helmet. I have a customer that just built a custom helmet, all custom colors. It was a $600 helmet. She fell off and had a serious crash within 2 weeks, and Charles Owen gave her 65% off of retail to replace her helmet. So she got the exact same helmet, I think for $180. Because they believe so much in replacing the helmet after a crash or after it's been broken down. So that was an excellent question. So 5 years maximum, but again, if you start seeing changes in the helmet or the helmet fit, we do suggest that you bring it in and we'll check it for you, or you just go ahead and replace it. Let's talk about some clothing next, which I think is another big question that we get when new riders come through the door. And what I tell them is that you need to ride in whatever you're comfortable in and what feels good against your own skin. The biggest thing, though, is that your clothes should be as form-fitting as possible and dress in layers, especially in the cooler weather. If your clothes are form-fitting, then your trainer can see your body and help make adjustments to make your riding position as correct and effective as possible. If you wear big baggy clothing, we can't see your body. And it also is a safety issue. If you fall off and your horse steps on the clothing, you could get tangled up, and that's not entirely safe. So I have a couple examples of some practice clothes for schooling and lessons, and then I brought a show outfit as well for English and basic Western so you can see. So let's start with English, and I'm going to just pull my rack over and show you. So for the adult rider, and I did this for this season, so the cooler weather, any type of thin, long sleeve athletic shirt. So you could get, a nice shirt from your tack shop or something, Under Armour, whatever you're comfortable in. But this is a nice thin long sleeve sweater, and I paired it with a vest, which can be removed while you're riding because you're going to get warm because it is a very strenuous activity. So anything form-fitting, layered is key. And then there are so many types of pants on the market for riding. So this is called a tight. This is a boot cut, so it goes nicely over top of your boot. And this has full seat. So what a full seat means is that it has all of these great little grippies starting all the way at your booty, and it goes down the whole length of the leg, which gives you some grip in the saddle, which will help make you feel secure in the tack. I just started riding in full seat breeches about a year ago, and I cannot believe I've missed my whole life of full seat breeches. So I really love Carrots. It's a great brand. They're very price conscious in your pocket, and they wash well, wear well, they look good on all body types, and they have a lot of great features, such as these little side pockets to put your cell phone or treats and snacks for your pony, and belt loops. So I always tell my riders, if your pants have belt loops to wear a belt, you can get a fancy one at your tack shop, or you can go to your local like Walmart or Target and just get a nice flat belt to wear with your pants. So here's an option. Again, this is from Carrots. Just a really nice, lightweight, form-fitting, tight. You want something that when you sit down or squat, it stays up and is comfortable. You don't feel pinching or pulling, because if you're uncomfortable in the tack, you're not going to be able to focus on what your trainer is trying to tell you to do. So here's an example for an adult rider. So for children, I pulled something very similar. Again, this is from Carrots, just because they do such a great job. So here's the children's tight, same features as the adult, a nice little side pocket for, you know, if they have a phone or they want to put snacks for their pony in there, they can. These as well are full seat. And the nice thing about their winter line is that they have this brushed fleece, so it does help break up the wind against your leg and keep you a little bit warmer on those chilly rides. So here's a nice tight, a matching thin shirt that can be layered. And then I brought another very thin form-fitting jacket, because that layering is key. When you first get on, you might not be warmed up, your muscles still are cool, and you want to keep your muscles warm to prevent injury. So I always have my kids and my riders start bundled up, and then we take the layers off as they warm up. If you can't afford to go to the tack shop and buy fancy tights, fancy breeches, you can wear a basic yoga pant or legging. So if you want to just start with the basics to make sure you like what you're doing, get the helmet, get a pair of boots, and then go and just ride in form-fitting leggings and a form-fitting shirt. It's very simple and easy. Now, if you progress and you want to go horse show, it's very basic in the English world what we wear. So basic tan breeches. Now this is called a knee patch, so you can probably see the difference. It just has this little part, goes along the inside of the leg right by the knee. So there's the difference in pants are knee patch or full seat. And it's your choice or your trainer's choice what you can get. So in a typical hunter show, you can't do full seats, you have to use the knee patch. So I wanted to show you something different than the full seat Carrots that I brought out. So this is a basic tan pant. And then we pair it with a nice white show shirt. And this comes in a variety of options. So you can have long sleeve, short sleeve, or sleeveless. Even the long sleeve, they keep them nice and cool. They're ventilated in the back and under the arm and down the length of the arm. So even in the summer months when it's hot, the long sleeve is nice and cool for the rider. And a long time ago, like when I was a kid riding, we had a collar like this and then a secondary piece that wrapped around called a rat catcher. Thank goodness they've gotten rid of that. And now most of these shirts, they have this little snap or a magnet to close it. And then when you're done riding, you can just unsnap it and unzip it and open it up and be nice and cool. And it's a nice looking shirt with or without a jacket. So you can just fold that collar down. And this is really good if you're you can wear this in a lesson or a clinic as well. And then the last thing, if you're a beginner or starting to get into the show world, is a nice 3-button show coat. So navy is the primary color you're going to see in the show ring, but you could also see black, green, or gray. So it looks like a blazer, but all of these new jackets that are on the market have a ton of stretch. They're form-fitting, and the newest thing that's on the market right now is they're putting this hidden zipper. I know it's probably hard to see on the camera. And what this does is keeps everything tucked in and nice and smooth and comfortable underneath the show coat. Super nice. this jacket's from RJ Classics, and they do a really good job with jackets, and I feel like they're reasonably priced. They have jackets starting in like the $198 range and going up. The idea again though is to have a nice form-fitting outfit that shows off your body, so the judge can see the accuracy of your ride. So that was English. Let me pull my Western rack over and show you what I have there.
While you're doing that, Kim, I do just want to remind our listeners that you're welcome to go ahead and type any questions in the chat section there, and we'll get that. Lynn, if you can hear us and want to try to get back on, please type in the chat. Let me know. You can send a message directly there, but certainly questions in the chat, and we'll make sure that they get asked.
Awesome. Okay, so for the beginner Western rider, for a child, something as basic as a nice jean. The key here is a jean with good stretch, and that's a little bit higher in the back so that everything is covered when you're squatting or sitting in the saddle. There's nothing worse than having this come down too low and showing parts of our body that we don't want to, you know, show off while we're riding. So this is just a nice basic jean from Wrangler, made to ride in. Super nice boot cut, which fits over top of boots. And then again, just like in the English world, you want to have something form-fitting to go on top of, or to wear on top, so that the instructor can see what your body is doing and help make adjustments as needed throughout the ride. Now for adults, the same thing, just a nice jean or pant, kind of like with the English world, you could wear a yoga pant or a legging. And then again, something form-fitting. I just grabbed this long sleeve t-shirt that is easy to layer, because you will get warm and want to pull those off, but in the beginning it does get cool, or you are cool. Now for showing, when I showed Western in college, it was all about the bling, and everybody had all these sparkly things, and the shirts could get up to $5,000, which is terrifying, especially to hear that as a beginner rider or a beginner parent to the horse world. But the great news is that they're moving towards a very basic button-down shirt. So you'll see on the, especially like Western dressage, showmanship, Western reining, and pleasure, a nice button-down. This has a little bit of a decorative button. It's got a little bit of a sparkle there. And then you tuck this in, and it's form-fitting and just nice and appropriate for that show ring. What's great about horse brands is that they're very thoughtful and conscious of the body, and they've added in an extra button through the bust so that you don't have gapping issues, because that's, you know, nobody wants to have that while they're riding. So they've added in this very inconspicuous button right in the middle to help keep the shirt closed where we need it the most. And here's a white version, but really any color, solid color shirt tucked in is appropriate. And then again, you can show in a nice form-fitting jean that's comfortable and has stretch, or you can show in a black pant with stretch. And you know, most tack shops have something that you could try on and find what's comfortable. So this brand is Iridian. They're great. The fabric is a little bit heavier, so it helps hold your body where you want it to be held. And then they make the pant, the cuff at the bottom, really nice so you can tailor it to be your size. They don't come in lengths. They just have a nice long pant leg that you can get tailored. And this is, I forgot to show this on the English side, but this is a men's breech. And so for those male riders that want to come out, and you can tell it's a men's breech because it has this back pocket. Now some women's pants are coming out with this pocket, but that's the biggest differentiation between men's and women's breeches, is that the men's will have this buttoned back pocket. All right, so that's a whole bunch about clothing, and I went through it really fast, but does anybody have questions about that before we move on? No? Okay. So I brought a couple examples of brush boxes. Now, in the beginning, I talked about how a lot of barns are expecting people to bring a little bit more because of COVID. And brush boxes are the big thing on top of the helmet and the boot that we've been selling, just because that's something that you hold on and touch a lot throughout your time at the barn. And sanitizing all of those products and items takes a lot of time. So if everybody has their own personal kit, it's a lot safer for everyone. So let me just grab those. So I have two versions. I have kind of a basic version and a deluxe version. So this little tote is super convenient. It has a couple different compartments, and this is common. So this is the most common brush box that you're gonna find. We also offer soft-sided ones if you want something a little bit smaller. But this is, you know, been around forever, and they come in a whole bunch of different colors. So if you have a favorite color, like here's purple, you can get whatever color you like. And then a lot of people like picking out matching brushes. So a couple of the basic items that you'll need. Number one is a hoof pick. So this is used to clean out the horse's feet, to make sure there's no rocks or stones, sticks, injury. You use this end to clean it out, and then you can use the brush to brush any debris out of the bottom of the foot. I like this one because it has a very squishy handle. It makes it really easy to hold on to. And these come in all different sizes. So if you have a rider with little tiny hands, we have little hoof picks. Or if you like something squishy, we have these. They're a couple bucks. We have them starting at $2. This hoof pick particularly is $9. The next two items are brushes. So you want to get two different brushes. One's soft, and I know you're not going to see the texture, but one's soft and one is harder. And you use the harder brush first to get off all of the heavy dirt off of your horse, and you're going to brush this in the direction of your horse's coat. And then the soft brush finishes it out. They come all different types. You have natural bristles, synthetic bristles. You have all different types of backs. You can get ones with handles. You can get teeny tiny ones for little hands. You can get big ones for bigger hands. Whatever you desire, pretty much they have on the market for you to get. Another vital item is a curry comb. So this is made out of rubber, and there's hard ones and soft ones. This one is probably our #1 selling curry comb because it's super flexible. So it makes it really easy to hold in the hand and get the dirt off. So you use this on the horse in a circular motion, and it helps get all the caked mud and funk and dirt off your horse, which is key. And it's something you'll learn as a beginner rider, new to the horse world, that you have to groom your horse before you get ready to ride. We've included two different combs. So we have a basic mane comb and brush. So you can brush out their mane or tail. I would always ask your riding instructor if that's okay. Some people don't want their lesson students brushing those out because we want to keep their tails as thick as possible. And sometimes you can pull the hair out more than somebody would like. So this is just two examples of some combs. So one of our employees, Roger, this is his favorite grooming item. This is called a grooming mitt. This one's stuck together. Let me pull it apart. Let's see. So you can use this to groom like a curry comb. You put your hand in and you can rub them all over. It's really great because it will form around the horse's leg. You can use this all over their body without worry that it's going to hurt them. And it's also good for bathing. So you can put your soap right on there and scrub it in. And these are super cheap, like $2. And they come in all sizes and colors too. So if you have little hands, you can get a little mitt. All right. So in the spring and summer and early fall, fly spray is key. And again, this is something that's not always required, but because of COVID, we've seen definitely an increase in sales of fly spray because lesson barns don't want people touching the same bottle and sharing. So fly spray starts at like $6 and goes up from there. This is a really good kind, Repel-X. And then last but not least in this basic kit is horse snacks or treats. I would always ask the barn owner or horse owner if you're allowed to give them snacks, but you know, who doesn't love a good treat? A couple things that are different in this other brush box is a lead rope. Again, this is a highly touched item. A lot of kids like having their own. They can pick out whatever color they want and they feel special because they have something for themselves. There's all different kinds. This has just a regular brass snap. You have ones with chains. You have ones with a couple different type of snap options, but for little fingers, this one's is the easiest. Just a basic lead rope. It's different in here. Oh, here we go. So this is hoof oil, kind of like we put lotion on our body. We put hoof oil on our horse's feet just to keep them moisturized, clean, helps reduce bacteria buildup or fungal growth. There's all different kinds. You can ask your barn owner or horse owner if it's okay to use this on them, and they might even tell you a special kind that they want you to have, but it's good to keep in your box. It makes their feet look really nice, and it helps keep their feet in optimal condition, because without good feet, you don't have a horse to ride. So another thing in this deluxe brush kit, which not everybody will need, but it's always good to have. This is kind of like carrying Neosporin in your pocket, but for horses. So horses love to find something to get hurt on. So having a quick spray or quick cream to put on small injuries is great. And this is just a zinc oxide spray. And this you can also use for sun protection, because believe it or not, horses do get sunburn, especially if they have white skin. You'll see their noses are white, or around their eyes are white. You can put zinc oxide on for sun protection. If you want a nice shiny horse, you can get something called Show Sheen. This is like a leave-in conditioner. It just helps keep your horse shiny, and then afterwards it helps repel dust and dirt. So if you spend a lot of time grooming, you can give them a shot of Show Sheen afterwards, and that'll just help keep the dust off. Big key here is you don't put any leave-in conditioner or silky things on where your tack goes, because your saddle could slip off. So keep that in mind. Always ask before you use any products like this to make sure it's okay with the barn owner or your riding instructor. So I know after hard work, sometimes my muscles and joints hurt, so I put Icy Hot on. Well, there's a whole bunch of versions of something like that for horses. So this is just one option. It's called Liniment, and it's just a nice cooling gel that you can put on after a ride. You can rub it on their legs. Some people put it on the horse's back, but again, you have to ask if it's okay. But this is a special treat you can use on your horse to help them feel good after you ride. Let's just help keep them from getting too sore. They work their muscles just like we do when we ride. And then a big thing to have in any tack box is just a rub rag. You can use a basic hand towel from your house, or you can get a nice one from the tack store. So this is a little bit bigger. It's made out of a heavy duty cotton, and you always need a rag for something. Wipe their noses or their face, rub them down. So having a nice rub rag is great. And then our employee Roger helped me put this box together, and he loves this little brush. You never know when you're going to need it. You can use it to put on ointments and creams, liniments. You can use it to brush off the hooves, basically anything. Just kind of like we use toothbrushes for a whole bunch of things more than brushing our teeth. We have this nice brush for our horse. So that was a quick rundown of a grooming kit. Are there any questions regarding these pieces?
This is Jen. I think the only thing I want to say about that is that while depending on where you are in your riding and what your barn provides, there are maybe, as we mentioned at the beginning, there may be pieces of this that you may need to bring and pieces that they may provide, but especially right now with some of the health restrictions and extra biosecurity for humans as well as horses that we're taking care of now, we did want to share a little bit of that, because some barns may indeed ask you to bring some of those things of your own rather than share them.
Sure. And a lot of companies pre-make kits. So if you don't want to have the stress of picking out all the pieces and making sure you have all the right things, there's so many kits available out there for our littlest riders up to adults, all different colors, all different price points, so that you can just grab something and have it in case you need it. We've sold a ton since COVID started, just because, like we said earlier, a lot of lesson barns are expecting people to bring their own grooming kits just for safety.
So Kim, what would you say, and again, if anyone else has any questions or anything else they'd like to add and put into the chat, please go ahead and do that. But what would you say is sort of the biggest thing that people come in looking for when they come to see you, especially people that are new?
So a lot of times they come in for the helmet and the boots, because some barns do provide helmets, but they highly suggest that they come in or they go and get their own helmet. I think helmets are the #1 item that you should have as a new rider, and you can get them very inexpensive, as little as $30 for a helmet. The biggest thing is to make sure it's a certified helmet. And you can ask your local tack shop what that is. We don't carry any helmets at our store that aren't certified, just because we don't want to take the risk of somebody getting hurt because they were riding in the incorrect helmet. And then paired with that are appropriate footwear and riding boots, having that correct sole and heel.
If someone was to look for, clothes, what would be their search terms that they would use to find the closest store near them?
I would, if you go to Google, just tack shop, tack store, TACK, riding apparel, horse riding apparel, breeches. The pants that children sometimes wear are called jodhpurs, JODPHURS. That's a tricky word. But you can go on many websites, like we have a website, fairhillsaddlery.com. There's websites everywhere you could look at and use all of their categories to start searching. But riding pants, riding boots, paddock boots, there's a ton of keywords, and I'm happy to compile a list that we can include in the posted and shared video on YouTube that we can include in there to help with that keyword search for a new person to our world to start searching for those items.
I do want to say, personally, from a personal standpoint, I will agree with, if you're new to getting a helmet, going somewhere where you can have one fitted is important. And also knowing that the size can be different depending on the brand of helmet you use. I recently purchased a new helmet and thought I could get one that was the same size as the previous helmet I had, but because it was a different brand, I could not. I had to change the sizing based on the brand of helmet, just because the fit was a little different. So yes, helmets are definitely probably the most important thing you can purchase if you're going to be riding regularly, and checking the fit based on the exact helmet you're purchasing really does matter. So
exactly. And everybody has a different shaped head. So,
yes.
There's round shapes and oval shapes, and a lot of companies now are recognizing that and making the same helmet, like the same helmet, but in round, oval, long oval. And it's just really important to have somebody help you fit the helmet to your head and getting the exact fit. So if I was to tell somebody that they had to be flexible budget-wise for something, it would be the helmet. Just because, you want to spend the $30 to $50 on something inexpensive, it may not fit properly, and then it's not going to do its job to protect in case of a crash. And that's the #1 thing. You may think, oh, well, we're just walking in the beginning. Anything could happen at any time on a horse, and it's important that the head is protected. That's priority. Any other questions? I can talk about anything, so ask me anything.
Does anyone listening have any questions? We're certainly happy to try to answer while we have folks on that are used to addressing these kinds of things. I guess I would say, we can see now Lynn's been having some technical difficulties in joining us via sound, but she does own and operate the Surrey, which is a shop in Darnestown, Maryland. So as Kim's in Elkton. These are just a couple of folks. We do have places throughout the state that you can go in, like actual physical shops where there's someone you can talk to and go in and see, as well as obviously online options for making purchases. But especially for some of these items in particular, like helmets and things like that, it's nice to be able to go in person and make those kinds of purchases and check fit and things like that. The only other comment we'd had that I know Lynn had wanted to share if we're able to get her is that some, except for helmets, other than helmets, some of these clothing items can be gotten on consignment or from people who may have outgrown them, especially with younger riders. So if you do have a very young or growing rider or looking for some more inexpensive ways to buy some of these pieces that you might just need for a short time while they're riding and aren't showing at an upper level, you know, that can be an option too for hunting for clothes.
Facebook Marketplace is amazing for that. You can get Paddock boots, which are the short boots. You can find, sometimes you can find gloves. So I brought a couple examples of gloves. You can sometimes get crops, which is another thing we didn't talk about, but sometimes barns want you to have your own crop just because this is a high touch item as well. But Facebook Marketplace or any of the consignment shops are amazing because they have less expensive product, just like you said, available. And we always encourage people to try that if they're not wanting to buy new.
Anything else anyone have? Oh, here's a great question about how much money should one expect to spend to buy the essential items like helmets, shoes, clothes, grooming, etc. when first getting started?
So I would say you could probably get a helmet and boots for less than $100 altogether. Then if you wanted a head to toe outfit, some grooming items, you're looking to spend maybe another $100 to $150. The nice thing about the grooming items, as long as you take care of them, they're going to last you forever. I still have brushes in the same brush box from when I was a child. So they last forever as long as you take care of them. And the same thing, if you get a nicer quality leather boot, they're going to outlast a less expensive, maybe synthetic boot. And so when I'm having the discussion, especially with parents, we always suggest to go with a leather Paddock boot and spend the maybe 10 or 15 more dollars because it'll last longer and allow the rider to feel their horse correctly and put their heels down, which is a big part of learning how to ride. The leather just flexes a lot more than a synthetic would. I know I went off on a tangent there. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's good information to share. The next question that had come in was, would you say buying used helmets is not a good idea?
Absolutely. We absolutely discourage buying a used helmet. If you give me a second, I can go run and get a great example so you can see what the inside of a helmet looks like, but you don't know what the inside looks like. And if it's been dropped too many times, if there's been a crash, you don't know what the inside looks like. And if the inside is damaged, then the helmet's not going to do its job. So we even to have the discussion when people are buying new helmets, if you have a crash where you think you have a concussion and have to seek medical treatment, to take the helmet with you, because sometimes doctors like to look at the helmet. Sometimes they even take an x-ray of the helmet just to look at where the impact was. So if you buy used, you just have no idea if that helmet has been harmed. Oh my gosh, Jessica's amazing. She just brought me the example. So here's the inside of a helmet. So we have the outer shell. There's a little bit of an air pocket here. And then inside of here is a foam layer that's been rigorously tested for impact, crush, rollover, any type of impact you could have on a helmet. They've been tested to make sure that all of the structure inside of here will protect, our skull. So if this gets dropped enough, this foam is going to start to compress, and then it's not going to be able to do its job. So buying used is not a good idea. No matter what somebody tells you, like it's only been ridden in once, that helmet could have been ridden in once, but had a horrific crash. if you're listening in earlier when I was talking about my customer that had the brand new custom helmet made, she brought in the one she had a fall in, and you couldn't tell externally that there was a fall, but her head hurt enough that she knew that she had to replace it. So something inside definitely was compromised. So we just don't suggest it. And then we even have people bring in their old helmets, and what we do is we cut the strap so that it can't be used again. So here's a cool example of the inside of a helmet. Any other great question? That was an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking that. Is there anything else I can answer, or it could be anything?
I have a question, Kim, because I'm thinking about this now as we're going into chillier weather, and I'm starting to plan to do some additional colder weather riding. What are some thoughts or things I should think about, or how can I be warm for ride and yet still be able to move and not be like, you know, the little snowsuit marshmallow person, and still be able to get up on my horse and ride? So what are there things I can find, or what are some suggestions in how to prepare for cooler weather that's coming up while riding?
Absolutely. I'm going to refer to Carrots because they're a really great brand that offers amazing winter riding apparel. So this pair of pants, I'm sorry I'm off screen, but let me just grab these pants. So this children's pant, it's hard to see on the screen, but they have a brushed fleece lining. So this is a great for cool weather. I'm not talking in the middle of winter, but they make this pant with this little bit of fleece lining just to help break the cold up. So they call this a Thermo Tech Tight. Now they have even thicker lined pants that have full fleece, and they're wind and water resistant. So if you just go into your tack shop and ask them, you know, hey, what do you have for winter riding pants? They're going to be able to point you in the right direction. And if you're going out on a long trail ride, let me tell you that a warm riding pant will make the ride so much better, and anything you can do to prevent the wind from going through the material will help stay warm. So look for the technical fabrics. And that's, you know, some people balk at the price of riding pants, and what they don't realize is the amount of technology sometimes that are in these pants that help keep your muscles warm, keep you dry, keep the wind from coming through. And that the little bit extra money to me is worth it to keep yourself warm while you're riding, because once you're cold and you start shivering, it's really hard to come back from that unless you get into a heated environment. How was that?
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, well, I would say if we don't have any other questions from those of you listening in, that is pretty much covers most of what we were hoping to get discussed today and share today. And again, Lynn, I'm sorry we couldn't hear you, but it's great to be able to see the shop and we know that you're there. And certainly it's an example of a great place in that area, and we appreciate her comment and reminder about consignment opportunities for some of the especially clothing items that you might be looking for as you're starting your horse riding experience and trying to save a little bit of money on those kinds of things. Thank you so much, Kim, for your great presentation today and being so thorough and covering all of this information. If anyone does have any further questions, you're welcome to contact us, and we're happy to try to help find answers to questions that you may have. And a reminder that this presentation is a part of our Getting Started with Horses in Maryland series, and we will have another webinar next Wednesday, so you're welcome to join us, and we'll be discussing how to select a horse to buy or lease that's right for you. So we're excited to share a little bit more about that. But again, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much to Kim Chick from Fairhill Saddlery. Thank you to Lynn from the Surrey. We at least got to see and wave to you. So we appreciate everyone participating. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.